Thank you for tuning into our video on our third Longsword Drill, the Meisterhausspielen, or Master Cut game. Now, this video is going to require quite a bit of a disclaimer. There's a lot of different ways to interpret the Master Cuts, we're quite aware of that, but here at Drei Wunder we've decided that we've come up with some interpretations we want to use. We hope that you can use the basic structure of this game to drill the specifics of your techniques and interpretations. That being said, let's talk a little bit about the Master Cuts. There are 5 Master Cuts, and what they're designed to do is to break the 4 guards of German Longsword. Well, what does it mean to break a guard? Breaking a guard is not as simple as just making your opponent move, or maybe making him choose a different guard. Break, the way we understand it, is to essentially nullify its most important attributes. What are these attributes? What do guards do? Well, the way we see guards is just very, very fundamental and stable platforms from which to launch offensive and defensive techniques. So what these Master Cuts do is help us nullify the primary offensive and defensive capabilities of these guards. Let's take a look at the drill, and we hope you enjoy. So let's go ahead and start talking about the 5 Master Cuts. The first one we want to address is the Swordhound. Now it's important to distinguish this one because unlike the other 4 Master Cuts, it doesn't really break another guard. It breaks into the Swordhound. So if your opponent throws a Swordhound at you, you can throw your Swordhound at him, and if done properly, can break his guard. Let's demonstrate. So Stuart's going to throw a Swordhound. I'm going to step offline and hit him while defending against him. Now, that can be done without making a bind. Here's what happens when we make a bind. So, notice I intercept his blade with mine, and I'm able to attack him in the same motion. That's very important about the Swordhound. Let's go on to the others, because these ones work a little differently, and these are the 4 we're going to use actually in our live drill. Now, what's important about these is these break the 4 guards. Now, not just make you move, but break them and make them no longer work properly. So, Stuart's going to start with on top. What I'm going to do is throw his Verschau. It's a high vertical cut. He's going to stay still for the moment, and this is what it's going to look like. So I'm going to throw my cut and aim it at the side of his head. Now, this is when it really works, is when he throws his Swordhound at me at the same time. Now notice, I'm able once again to intercept his weak on my strong and strike the side of his head in the same motion. One more time. So, that's his Verschau. Now the second one is the Krumphow. This is a very, very delicate situation. The Krumphow has many, many historical interpretations and descriptions, and we have even more modern interpretations and applications. Drei Wunder, we've heard a lot of them, and we've played with a lot of them. For drilling right now, we're using one particular interpretation. Now the Krumphow breaks ox to strike against the forearm or the hands, and this is how we do it. A couple things are very important about this. First of all, I'm going to step offline. Secondly, I'm going to bring my weapon over the opposite shoulder. I'm going to do this all in one motion, and I'm going to strike at his hands. I'll show you our interpretation. So, one more time. Now, obviously, it works a little bit differently in motion. You might strike different parts of his weapon. For example, you might strike a bind, in which case you have an opportunity to enter a bind, or if he thrusts and you step offline, you might strike higher up. So that's a Krumphow we're working with at this time. The next one is the Schildhau, or the Squinter. This breaks flu. We start in our high striking guard vom Tag, and we're basically going to move into an opposite side plow. But it's important that we make contact with his weapon. This is the Schildhau. Notice I bind with my blade against his while striking at the same time. One of the things that we're very fond of is this allows you to use all Drei Wunder that we like. We start here, we have the Hau, then we have the Schnitt, followed by the Stoß. So Schildhau is a very effective Master Cut, binds his weapon, puts you in a great position to counter thrust. Next, we have Alberg, or Fool's Guard. This one is a simple matter of outdistancing and out-timing your opponent. You're not actually going to make contact, but you're going to stand at the edge of his range and maximizing yours. You're going to try to cut his scalp. It's the Scheitelhau, or scalp or parting strike. So, So that's the general notion. The strike from above is going to be faster and have better range than the strike from below. Those are the 5 master cuts. For the purposes of this drill, we're going to work with the 4 that break the specific guards.
So, this drill, like the drill we did for the guards, is asymmetrical. One person is going to be supporting the learning process of the other, like the person throwing the cuts was supporting the learning process of the guy getting more confident in his guards. Now it goes the other way. One person is going to feed guards to the other person who's going to work on their strikes. So both individuals are going to work on using their distance, using their footwork to adjust angles and range, and try and stay in a range where they could realistically launch a reasonable attack. One person is going to transition between their guards. For a beginner group, we recommend keeping the guards on the dominant side. Don't switch sides with the guards until you've really got the hang of cutting against the dominant side. So one person is going to be circling, adjusting their angles, adjusting their distance, playing between Von-Tag, Ox, Flug, and Alder. And the other person is going to be throwing the appropriate master cut to strike their opponent in those guards. One other thing we're going to use in this drill, just for convenience sake, is a position called Langhort. It's a hood, it's a secondary position, and it's long point. Keeping my point out, the thrust of my opponent or keeping them at bay. In this drill, it very simply means, don't hit me right now, we're concentrating on footwork. So if you need a breather, you need a second as the guy feeding the guards to move around. If you're moving around in Von-Tag, you're going to keep getting hit with that Zwerchhauer. So if you wanted to stop smacking me for a second, put out long point, then come back to your guards. This is also useful because as people get more comfortable throwing these master cuts faster and more accurately, you're going to switch from feeding single guards to feeding guard combinations, so they can try and hit as you transition. This is a drill, it's a live drill, which means there's resistance involved, there's a chance the person's going to mess it up. Don't take your guard and plant your feet and wait for them to get it right. You might want to wait in the guard for a while for them to get this master cut in their mind and throw it. But keep moving, keep making them adjust their range to get the shot legitimately. That's the idea of this drill. Take a look. So a few more notes about live drills, because these questions and issues do tend to come up with this drill in particular. If someone throws totally the wrong technique, it means you probably want to spend more time in the introduction stage being clear about what the technique is. If they throw the technique but really, really badly, it means they're struggling to get the distance and the timing right. That means they need to spend more time doing the live drill. Going back to the introduction stage isn't going to fix that. So if they're throwing the technique badly, you want to keep giving them chances to do it against real distance and timing. You want to keep feeding that opportunity, but continue to give them real pressure. The intensity of the pressure can vary. So this can be a drill you can do at a very low level of intensity with new people. It's also something, if you and your training partner are more experienced, you can up the speed and intensity quite a bit. So all these drills are things I think can be useful to beginners and advanced practitioners. It's just a matter of regulating your intensity to a level that's appropriate for your training partner's learning process